I still remember the exact moment I realized revenge doesn't have to be loud. Sometimes it's just a smile and three little words. Deal. Off. But let me take you back to that morning. The morning a spoiled CEO's daughter tried to destroy my career with a handbook she'd never even opened herself. Deep breath. This is the story of how one designer suit, one arrogant assumption, and one perfectly timed hug brought a corporate empire to its knees. The humidity that July morning should have been my first warning. New York summers are brutal, but that particular Tuesday felt different, like the air itself was holding its breath, waiting for something catastrophic to happen. I stood outside Hartwell Industries, glass tower at 6:47 a.m., 13 minutes early for my 7:00 a.m. meeting, watching my reflection in those pristine windows. My Navy Tom Ford suit was immaculate. My Italian leather briefcase contained documents that would change everything. And my Patek Philippe watch, a gift from my late father, caught the early morning sun just right. I looked like I belonged there, because I did. For 6 months, I'd been negotiating the merger deal of the decade. Hartwell Industries, a third-generation family manufacturing company, needed fresh capital and international connections. My firm, Blackstone and Associates, had the resources and the vision. More importantly, I had spent half a year building a relationship with Richard Hartwell, the CEO, a brilliant man who'd built his company from $200 million to $3.2 billion in 15 years. The deal we'd structured, $5 billion, with a B. My commission alone would be $47 million. But more than the money, this deal meant something. It meant proving that a woman who'd started as a secretary could become the youngest senior partner in Blackstone's 94-year history. It meant honoring my father's memory. He'd been a janitor who taught me that intelligence and class have nothing to do with your starting position. It meant everything. I pushed through the revolving doors into that cathedral of commerce. Marble floors so polished you could see your soul in them. A chandelier that probably cost more than most people's houses. And that particular smell of expensive everything that only corporate lobbies have. The security guard, James, smiled at me. "Morning, Ms. Reeves. Mr. Hartwell's expecting you. Conference rooms ready on the 42nd floor." "Thank you, James. How's your daughter's college search going?" His face lit up. "She got into 3 schools, still deciding, but thank you for asking." Wait, before I tell you what happened next, let me know you're really invested in this story. Because if you're the type of person who roots for entitled bullies who have never worked a real day in their lives, you might want to unsubscribe right now. This story isn't for you. But if you believe that arrogance always gets its reckoning, stay with me. You're going to love what comes next. I stepped into the elevator, reviewing my mental checklist. The merger documents were finalized. Richard's lawyers had approved everything. His board was on standby for a 9:00 a.m. video call to get their final signatures. By 10:00 a.m., we'd be making the announcement that would dominate financial news for weeks. The elevator climbed, 20 floors, 30, 40. That's when I heard it. The elevator stopped at the 41st floor, and she walked in. Victoria Hartwell, the CEO's daughter. I'd heard about her, of course. Everyone had. 26 years old, fresh from getting her MBA from a school her father's donations had probably helped her graduate from, and now installed as Vice President of Corporate Culture, a made-up title that essentially meant she could wander around judging people. She was wearing head-to-toe Gucci, the kind of outfit that screams, "I need logos to prove I'm wealthy," rather than actually understanding elegance. Her blonde hair was perfectly styled in that way that requires a 2-hour salon appointment. Her manicure probably cost $300. And her eyes, when they landed on me, turned to ice. "Excuse me," she said, her voice dripping with the kind of condescension that only comes from never being told no in your entire life. "Do you work here?" I smiled politely. "I'm Victoria Reeves from Blackstone and Associates. I have a meeting with your father." Her eyes narrowed, scanning me from head to toe like I was a piece of furniture she was considering buying and rejecting. "That suit, She stepped closer and I could smell her perfume, something expensive and overwhelming. Is that navy blue? Yes, it is. The elevator dinged, 42nd floor. But Victoria reached over and pressed the button to hold the doors closed. Did you even read the dress code? She pulled out her phone, tapping with those absurdly long nails. You're clearly new here, so let me educate you. Hartwell Industries has very specific standards. I felt my jaw tighten, but I kept my voice level. I'm not an employee. I'm a consultant here for. The dress code, she interrupted, pulling up something on her phone, clearly states that business formal means black suits. Black, gray, or charcoal. Navy blue. She laughed, this little tinkling sound that probably charmed country club boys but made my skin crawl. That's what secretaries wear when they're trying to look professional but can't afford actual business attire. The elevator was still stopped. We were alone. Ms. Hartwell, I think there's been a misunderstanding. The only misunderstanding is how you got past security dressed like that. She was scrolling through her phone now, her face illuminated by that blue glow. You know what? I'm implementing new protocols starting today. I'm tired of walking through this building and seeing people who clearly don't understand that Hartwell Industries is a premium brand. We have standards. My watch read 6:54 a.m., 6 minutes until my meeting with Richard. If you'll excuse me, I said carefully, I have an appointment. You're fired. The words hung in the air between us, like a bomb that hadn't quite exploded yet. I'm sorry, what? You are fired, she said it slowly, like I was stupid. Effective immediately, you can collect your things and leave. Actually, no, security will escort you out. I don't want you touching anything proprietary. I stared at her. Ms. Hartwell, I don't think you understand. I don't work for your company. I'm a senior partner at Blackstone and Associates. I'm here to finalize a $5 billion merger with your father. She waved her hand dismissively, like brushing away a fly. I don't care if you're here to wash windows. The dress code is the dress code. And clearly, if you can't follow simple instructions, you're not someone Hartwell Industries should be doing business with. Something cold settled in my chest. Not anger, not yet, more like curiosity. Was she really this stupid, or this arrogant? I've been negotiating this deal for 6 months, I said quietly. Then you've had 6 months to learn how to dress appropriately. She finally released the elevator button. The doors opened onto the 42nd floor. Now get out of this building before I call security. Okay, I need you to pause for a second and really think about this. Have you ever met someone so entitled, so completely disconnected from reality, that they couldn't see the disaster they were creating? Drop a comment right now about the most arrogant person you've ever encountered. And keep watching, because this girl, about to learn a lesson that business schools don't teach. I could have argued, could have demanded to see Richard immediately, could have pulled out my phone and called him. But something else took over, something colder, more patient. I stepped out of the elevator. Smart choice, Victoria said, that satisfied smirk on her face. I'm texting security now, they'll escort you downstairs. I turned to look at her, really look at her. She was so pleased with herself, so certain that she'd just won something. One question, I said calmly. Have you actually read the employee handbook you're quoting? Of course I have. I helped update it last month. Black suits for business formal. It's right there in section 7.3. Interesting, I smiled, and I watched her confidence flicker for just a second. Because I helped Richard draft the updated dress code 3 months ago during one of our negotiation sessions. Section 7.3 actually states, business formal attire includes suits in black, charcoal, gray, or navy. Navy was specifically added because your father felt the old policy was too restrictive. Her face went blank. But don't take my word for it, I continued, pulling out my phone. I have the email chain right here, with your father's signature. Would you like me to forward it to you? I watched the blood drain from her face. That's not the old handbook says. The old handbook was superseded 3 months ago. The updated version was distributed to all department heads and posted on the company intranet. I tilted my head. As vice president of corporate culture, I'd think you'd know that. The elevator doors started to close. Victoria stood frozen, her mouth opening and closing like a fish. "Anyway," I said pleasantly, "I'll see myself out. Have a wonderful day, Miss Hartwell." The doors closed on her shocked face. I pressed the button for the lobby. As the elevator descended, I pulled out my phone and sent a quick text to Richard. "Something come up. Need to speak with you in the lobby instead of conference room. It's urgent." His reply came immediately. "On my way down. Everything okay?" "Not quite, but it will be." The elevator descended through 41 floors, and with each floor, I felt something shifting inside me. That patient coldness was crystallizing into something sharper, more purposeful. 6 months. 6 months of 14-hour days. 6 months of flying to different cities, negotiating with lawyers, restructuring terms, managing egos on both sides. 6 months of building something extraordinary. And Richard's daughter, who'd contributed nothing, knew nothing, and apparently couldn't even be bothered to read the company policies she was supposedly enforcing, had just tried to throw me out like garbage. The elevator reached the lobby. James looked up from his security desk. "Back so soon, Ms. Reeves." "Change of plans, James. Is the lobby conference room available?" "Should be. Want me to check?" "Don't worry about it. Mr. Hartwell is coming down." I walked to the seating area, those expensive leather couches that face the elevator bank. I set my briefcase down carefully, crossed my legs, and waited. 3 minutes later, the elevator doors opened. Richard Hartwell stepped out, 62 years old, silver hair, sharp eyes, wearing a suit that cost more than some cars. Behind him, his CFO, his head of legal, and 2 board members, the signing committee. And behind them, looking panicked, Victoria. "Victoria," Richard's voice carried across the lobby. "What are you doing here? I thought you had that meeting with HR." That's when he saw me. His face lit up with that warm smile I'd gotten to know over 6 months of negotiations. "Victoria, there you are. I was just coming to." He stopped. His smile faltered. "Why are you in the lobby?" I stood up slowly, smoothing my navy suit. "Mr. Hartwell, I'm afraid we have a problem." Before I could continue, the main entrance doors burst open, and James Harrison walked in. Oh, this is where it gets good. If you're not subscribed yet, do it now, because what happens in the next 60 seconds is going to make you scream at your screen. And yes, that spoiled CEO's daughter is watching this all unfold. Keep watching. Let me tell you about James Harrison. 73 years old. Self-made billionaire. Started with a single hardware store in Ohio and built it into a national chain before selling it for $2.3 billion. Now he runs the Harrison Investment Group, which manages over $87 billion in assets. He was also my father's best friend. When my dad died of a heart attack 7 years ago, James had flown across the country to be at the funeral. He'd held my hand during the service. He told me stories about my father that made me laugh through the tears, stories about how they'd met when my dad was working as a night janitor at one of James's early stores, how they'd become friends, how my dad's wisdom and kindness had helped James make some of his best business decisions. "Your father," James had told me at the wake, "was smarter than most CEOs I know. He just never got the chance to prove it to the world. But you will. You'll prove it for both of you." James had become my mentor after that, my biggest champion. When I told him about the Hartwell deal, he'd gotten excited. "That's a good company," he'd said. "Solid fundamentals. If you can bring that deal home, Victoria, you'll establish yourself as a major player. And I'll tell you what, Harrison Investment Group will back you, whatever you need." What I needed, it turned out, was his firm to be the primary investor in the merger. His $5 billion would be the cornerstone that made the whole deal work. Richard Hartwell didn't know yet that James was coming. It was going to be a surprise. I'd arranged for James to arrive at 8:00 a.m. to be there for the signing, adding his gravitas and support to make the moment even more special. But James was early. And thank God he was. He walked through those lobby doors in his typical style. No entourage, no fanfare, just a 73-year-old man in an impeccable suit, moving with the quiet confidence of someone who'd earned every dollar he had. His eyes found me immediately. "Victoria!" His face broke into that grandfatherly smile. He crossed the lobby in long strides. And before I could say anything, he wrapped me in a hug. "Ready to sign the merger? This is going to be spectacular." I felt Richard Hartwell's entire team freeze behind me. James pulled back, holding my shoulders, his eyes twinkling. "I couldn't wait. Flew in last night. Figured I'd get here early and we could celebrate before the paperwork starts flying." He finally noticed the others. "Richard, good to see you, my friend." Richard looked like someone had just told him the laws of physics had changed. "James, you're involved in this merger." "Involved?" James laughed. "Richard, Harrison Investment Group is the primary investor. Victoria here has put together one of the most elegant merger structures I've seen in 40 years. We're investing $5 billion, and I'm prepared to sign this morning. Didn't she tell you I was coming?" "I wanted it to be a surprise," I said quietly. Richard's face had gone pale. He was looking between James and me, calculating, understanding starting to dawn. James's smile faded. He turned to me, reading my expression. "Victoria, what's wrong?" I took a breath. "I'm afraid there's been a change of circumstances, James. I won't be finalizing this merger after all." The lobby went silent. "What?" Richard's voice cracked. "Victoria, what are you talking about?" "I'm talking about being fired," I said calmly. "Approximately 7 minutes ago by your daughter for wearing the wrong color suit." James's expression didn't change, but I saw his eyes go cold. That particular kind of cold that had made him legendary in business circles. The cold that appeared right before he destroyed companies that crossed him. "Explain," he said quietly. So I did, every word. The elevator, the dress code accusation, the dismissal, the complete disregard for who I was or what I was doing there. Victoria, who'd been standing behind her father trying to become invisible, suddenly found all eyes on her. I didn't know," she stammered. "Didn't know what?" Richard's voice was terrible. "Didn't know that Victoria Reeves is the person who's been saving this company for the last 6 months. Didn't know that she's been negotiating the deal that would secure our future. Didn't know that she's one of the most respected corporate negotiators in New York." "She was wearing navy." Victoria's voice rose, desperate. "The dress code says." "The dress code that you clearly never read," I interrupted, "explicitly allows navy suits. I know because I helped your father write that section." James turned to me. His voice was gentle. "Victoria, do you want to move forward with this merger?" Here it was, the moment. I'd spent 6 months on this deal, $47 million in commission, career-defining success. And I looked at Victoria Hartwell's face, that entitled, spoiled face that had sneered at me in the elevator. That face that represented every person who'd ever looked at my background, my beginnings, my father's job, and decided I didn't belong. "No," I said clearly, "I don't." James nodded once. "Then neither does Harrison Investment Group. Richard, I'm sorry. You've built a good company. But if this is the culture you're cultivating, if this is the kind of judgment and leadership represented by your management team, I can't in good conscience invest billions of dollars." Richard Hartwell's face went from pale to gray. "James, please. Victoria, please. My daughter made a mistake." "Her daughter," James said, his voice cutting like ice, "just cost you $5 billion and your company's future." He turned to look at her. "Young lady, let me give you a piece of advice that might save you in the future, though honestly, I doubt you'll listen. Humility isn't about where you start. It's about never forgetting that you can still fall. Victoria Reeves started as a secretary. Her father was a janitor, and she's become one of the most formidable business minds I know, because she earned it. Every step." He turned back to me. "Come on, Victoria. I'll buy you breakfast. We'll find a better company to invest in, one that actually values talent over dress codes." We walked toward the door. Behind us, I heard Richard's voice, desperate, broken. Victoria, please, name your terms, whatever you want. We can fix this. I stopped, turned. Victoria Hartwell was crying now, mascara running down her face, her Gucci outfit somehow looking cheap in this moment. Mr. Hartwell, I said quietly, I spent 6 months getting to know your company, 6 months learning to respect what you built, but you can't build something lasting on a foundation of entitlement and arrogance. Your daughter didn't just insult me this morning. She showed me what Hartwell Industries is really about. That's not fair, he whispered. Please. Wait, wait, wait. Before I tell you what I said next, I need to know you're really here for this. Comment right now. Would you have walked away from $47 million on principle? Would you have let the deal die? Because what happens next is going to either make you cheer or make you question everything. Don't you dare leave now. I stood in that marble lobby, the morning sun streaming through those expensive windows, and I thought about my father. I thought about him coming home after 12-hour shifts cleaning office buildings, his hands red from industrial cleaner, his back aching. I thought about how he'd sit with me at our tiny kitchen table and help me with homework, how he'd tell me that education was the key to a different life. Don't ever let anyone make you feel small because of where you started, he'd said once, when I was 16 and crying because a girl at school had made fun of my second-hand clothes. Where you start is just geography. Where you end up is character. I looked at Richard Hartwell, a good man who'd built something impressive but who'd failed at the most important job, teaching his daughter about character. Mr. Hartwell, I said finally, I'm going to tell you something and I want you to really hear it, not as a negotiator, not as a business partner, as someone who actually wishes you well. He nodded, desperate. The problem is that your daughter made a mistake. We all make mistakes. The problem is what that mistake revealed. She didn't see a business suit in the wrong color. She saw someone she perceived as beneath her, and she couldn't wait to exercise power over that person. She didn't ask questions, didn't verify, didn't think. She just attacked because she could. I glanced at Victoria, who was staring at the floor. That kind of cruelty doesn't happen in a vacuum, I continued. It's learned. It's cultivated. It comes from a culture where some people are taught they're inherently superior and other people are inherently less. And Mr. Hartwell, with all due respect, that culture came from somewhere. I'll fix it, Richard said. I'll restructure. Victoria will take a leave of absence. Whatever you need. It's not about what I need. I felt James's hand on my shoulder, supportive, present. It's about what your company needs. And right now, it needs more than money. It needs a fundamental shift in values. I picked up my briefcase. So here's my offer, and it's the only one I'll make. I'll walk away. James will walk away. And you'll face the consequences of this morning. Maybe you'll find another investor, though I doubt it, because word travels fast in our world, and by noon, everyone will know what happened here. Maybe you'll figure out another path forward. But either way, you'll have the space to decide what kind of company Hartwell Industries really wants to be. And what do I owe you? Richard's voice was hollow. For 6 months of work. Nothing. Consider it a lesson in due diligence. You vetted my financial proposals. You vetted my business strategy. But you forgot to vet the most important thing, whether your company's actual culture matched the values you claim to uphold. I turned to leave, then stopped one more time. For what it's worth, Mr. Hartwell, I did want this deal to work. I believed in your company. I believed in you. But your daughter taught me something important this morning. Sometimes the most expensive mistakes are the ones that show you the truth before it's too late. James and I walked toward the doors. Wait. It was Victoria. Her voice was small, broken. I turned. She stepped forward, away from her father. Her makeup was ruined. Her expensive outfit looked ridiculous now. She looked young and lost and finally human. I'm sorry, she whispered. I'm so sorry. I didn't know. I didn't think. I wanted to prove I was important. I wanted to show I had authority. And I picked you because, she swallowed, because I thought you couldn't fight back. The honesty was startling. Ms. Hartwell, I said quietly, that might be the first true thing you've said this morning. And it's the ugliest truth of all, isn't it? You didn't attack me because I broke a rule. You attacked me because you could." She nodded, tears streaming down her face. "So here's my advice, and I give it sincerely. Figure out why you felt the need to do that. Figure out what made you think that's acceptable. And then spend the rest of your career making sure you never do it again. Not because someone might be important, but because everyone is." James and I did find another company to invest in. A smaller firm, run by a woman who'd started as a line worker and built her manufacturing company through sheer determination and brilliant innovation. The deal was only $2 billion, but it was clean, it was honest, and it was built on values that actually meant something. My commission was $23 million, less than I would have made with Hartwell, but I slept like a baby. Hartwell Industries struggled. Without the merger capital, they had to restructure, sell off divisions, lay off workers. Richard eventually found a smaller investor, but the company never recovered its momentum. Last I heard, Victoria had left the company and was working at a nonprofit. I don't know if she learned anything, but I hope she did. People ask me sometimes if I regret walking away. If I regret letting $47 million disappear because of principle. I tell them about my father, about his red hands and his tired back and his absolute certainty that character matters more than comfort. And then I tell them, the most expensive thing you can do in business isn't walking away from money. It's selling your soul to get it. All right, we've reached the end. But before you go anywhere, I need you to do 3 things. First, comment below and tell me where you're watching this from and what time it is for you right now. I want to know this story is reaching people around the world. Second, think about this story, really think about it, and comment with 3 major lessons you learned. What are the 3 things you're taking away from this? What changed in how you think about respect, power, or standing up for yourself? And third, if this story meant something to you, if it made you feel something, hit that subscribe button. Because stories like this, stories about real principles, real consequences, and real character, these are the stories that matter. Remember, revenge doesn't have to be loud. Sometimes it's just a smile and 3 words. Deal. Off. And sometimes the sweetest revenge is knowing you'll sleep well tonight, because you chose who you are over what you could have had. Thanks for watching. And remember, nobody, and I mean nobody, gets to make you feel small because they think they're big. See you in the next one.